Welcome back to It's Life Loudly.
where life is messy, imperfect, and worth sharing.
We're Dalton and Kristen Steichen, and we are excited to share stories and our experiences.
Ones that might inspire, motivate, and hopefully make you laugh.
We are not experts on this thing called life.
We're just here chatting about it.
It's
life loudly.
Hey, welcome back. I am solo once again, which was not the plan. It was not the plan at all, actually. You ever just have one of those weeks where it's just like you had everything planned out, you had everything like strategic, everything was like ready to go how you wanted it to go, and then it just didn't, and that's the way it is. That was our week. So, first of all, I'm outside. So if you hear things in the background, if there's wind blowing, if the audio is not the best, we're just going to have to deal because I'm tired of sitting in my house and it's finally like a nice day where I can sit on my deck in the shade and just enjoy some outside for a little bit before I have to go and do some other stuff. But first of all, this podcast is late. I already know that. Um, and it was not the plan to do this podcast today. We went to Minnesota with camping with some friends, just Dalton and I, and it was a 6-hour drive. And I had it planned. We had it planned. We have like at least four, maybe five episodes to record. And we were just going to like totally hash out a bunch of episodes on the drive. We've had some things that have been kind of just on the wait list on the back burner for a while, and we were just going to do all of those things. And we got into the car, and when we were down the road a little ways, like further enough where it was too late to turn back, I opened up my computer bag and I did not have the podcast mics in the bag because I had taken them out because I was doing a bunch of photography work for like I was doing I just needed my backpack to be lighter, so there was a bunch of things I took out, and like I was taking my computer to an office one day and I was like, I'm just going to sit and just work on photos, which I did, but I didn't put all of that other stuff back in. So we got 0 podcasts done on our trip, which whatever is fine. And then when we had plans to record when we got back to have an episode actually ready to go for Tuesday morning, one of our kids went into the hospital. All is well, all is fine. We're on the right track to figuring things out, but that just obviously threw a wrench in our plans. We were up till 4 in the morning. You know how it is to go from the emergency room then to be admitted to the hospital. It just takes a long time, and that went our day, our evening, and the day after. So that's kind of like my joys and hearts for the week right there. Pretty much summed up. We are doing a lot of fun, amazing things, and we did have some doctor's appointments and we got a lot of good questions answered and a lot of like things we've been wondering about figured out, and we have a plan in place to move forward and get to the next steps that we need to go to in the health department in a lot of different areas, which is fabulous. It's super. So we are actually on our way. I have no idea if there'll be a podcast next week because we're going to go to the lake, and I was just so ready to like hash out a bunch of episodes, get those like pre-scheduled out. That way the month of July just could have been all ready to go. Maybe we'll have like one rainy day where we can, get ahead of the game. We were so excited for that. And I had everything else I needed for camping, but I did not bring podcast mics. So I guess that's just the way it is. So today's probably going to be a little short one. I just wanted to jump on here, and Dalton didn't really care if he missed this one because he didn't really have anything to do with this. I've had some people asking me, and I mentioned it a couple weeks ago, that I wanted to talk about kids' schedules in the summer. Like how I've had multiple questions from multiple different people on how do you seem so organized in the summer when your kids are home, or how are you getting things done, or what are your kids doing, what's their routines, what's their like how we handle summer. So this episode is probably going to be more for people who are actually home in the summer. If you have a job and your kids are still going to like daycare or their kids are doing their own thing, actually, it probably would work good for that. If you have kids that are staying home alone and you want to make sure that they're still being productive and like getting a few things done every day so you don't have to come home to a house full of chores to do, this actually might be perfect for you. And even in the evening after daycare, if you need like an hour to yourself, how do you handle keeping kids busy for an hour so you can get your things done so then you can have more family time if you are working throughout the summer, which most of you probably are. So I'm going to start off by saying that, like, with time and changing of seasons and changing of ages of kids, this changes drastically. What we used to do compared to what we do now is not nearly close to the same thing. Um, when we first had kids, they were 6 and 4. And I went from having 0 kids in my household to having 2 kids who are now older. So I learned like right away, I'm like, oh my gosh, like my free time went from like every day, all day to none. And that was like a huge shock for me, especially like being home with kids in the summer. I'd never had any, I mean, before kids, like it's like you don't really have that big of, I mean, you think you have responsibilities and you think you have a lot of stuff to do. So, what I learned kind of right away is that in order for me to feel like I'm on top of anything, I need times in my day where my kids are busy doing something else. And when my kids are younger, we did a lot. So I was like, I don't know who gave me the idea, but they're like, hey, how about like, because I just felt like it was just so overwhelming to just go from 0 kids to 2 kids and 2 kids that are actually like, grown kids. Like they're doing stuff, they're up, they're moving, they're playing, they're active, it's a little different when a newborn has you have frequent, like you lose a lot of sleep, but you have frequent times where it's like they are sleeping and napping and laying down and being quiet so you can, get some things done. So I remember we started like our first little checklist. Um each girl had a checklist in the morning that was like simple things like these are things you can do completely on your own without my help. You can, we'd set out clothes the night before. You can get dressed, you can make your bed. If there's like laundry to put in the laundry basket, you can put your laundry in the laundry basket. You could tidy your room. You can brush your hair. You can, just some of those like morning things where it's like you do not need an adult to help you with these things anymore. So the kids would wake up and do those things. They knew like by the time that we did breakfast all together that like those things are expected to be done. Because I just noticed like if you let kids just we're not a big family where we just lie around in our pajamas all day long. Sometimes, like on the weekend, but like in the morning, if we are waking up, you're expected to like get dressed, make your bed, get ready, like be ready for the day. And then we would like do breakfast, and then they each had their own little chore, and it just kind of seemed like it's never really changed. Like our youngest daughter has always just helped with the dishes and like our oldest daughter just because she was taller at the time did like vacuuming, wiping counters, helping out with those kinds of things and those jobs have pretty much just stuck permanently. Like they still like if they get to pick their kitchen jobs, they're picking those original jobs that they did when they were 6 and 4 all the time just cuz they're used to doing those things. So they'd help clean up and then if it was just like a normal summer day or a weekend day or whatever where we're home like if we were gone, going somewhere, doing something, then the list kind of just went out the window. But this was when like you're not coming to me all day long and telling me you need something to do. You're bored. You don't know what to do. You're fighting with your sister. You're making a giant mess. You don't know like um some of the things that I'd have on their list, I'd be like, okay, so it's list time. So pretty much from like after breakfast until like early afternoon, they were busy. So when they were little, and then after these things were done, then it was like, hey, now here's some other options of what you can do now later after you have those things done. So, number one, they'd have to have like 20 to 30 minutes of reading or looking at books on their own. Like, because, depending on the age of your kid, they might not be able to read, but they can look at a book and they can make up the story. Like, they can point to characters, they can read the pictures, they can look at the pictures, they can make up the story as they want. They can look at a picture book. We have these like fun magazines that like have like little game type things in them, like a Where's Waldo type of thing. You could do those types of things. So books were always like a big like thing, especially like quiet activity. If I wanted an hour of like room quiet, I gave them some ideas of like this is what you can do in your room. Um, every day there was a different cleaning chore. So maybe like depending on what day it was, it could have been like, hey, you're gonna help dust the living room. Here's your dust rag. You're gonna wipe off all the surfaces. You're gonna carry your laundry and help me start the load of laundry. You're gonna fold some clean towels. Um, kids can sweep. Kids can vacuum a little bit depending on what it is. They can wipe surfaces. I mean, you hand a kid a dust rag and they can do anything for hours, you know? So there was always some sort of like cleaning household tidying up chore. And then there was usually some sort of like outdoor chore too, like taking out the garbage, um, sweeping off the driveway. Maybe there was some sticks that needed to be picked up in the yard. Maybe garbage needed to be taken out. Maybe they needed to help me with the cat litter box. There was always other like, another chore too. So usually every day there was at least two like chore things. And then it was like 30 minutes of craft time. And then I listed off some activities of like, you could, for 30 minutes, you can color, you can play with Play Doh, you can do sticker books, like anything that you'd have in like your craft cupboard, coloring, drawing, painting, kinetic sand. I know some people hate kinetic sand, but I actually, for someone who hates messes, I love kinetic sand because I think it is the easiest thing to just vacuum up. Like I have a bin of it. It stays on the kitchen counter. You're not allowed to go anywhere else. Play with it on the kitchen counter. We've got like toys and trucks and tractors and sand toys and stuff to play with it. And then after it's done, you put it away and you just sweep off everything into a dustpan. I think it's actually a simple, thing for the kids to play with. So any type of like table activity is like what we call them, craft activity. And then as the kids got older, we put in at least two or three activities that were school related. So like when they were in that pre-K to second grade, I had a handwriting book for each kid. And it was like, here, 10 minutes with your handwriting. Um, or um, older elementary, it was like, you're going to journal, you're going to write, tell me about your day. Or I'd give them a topic. If they couldn't think of one, I'd be like, I want you to tell me about your favorite holiday and why it's your favorite holiday. So we worked on, and that's the teacher in me, just working on a lot of school things. We worked on a lot of, we had math. If you don't have math wrap ups, you need to get yourself some math wrap ups. They're these like math fact keys, and then you just take this string and they have like addition, subtraction, multiplication. They even have some geography ones and stuff like for capitals and things like that. But you just like wrap the key with this string to like find the answers, and then you can check it on the back to see if you're right. Or math flashcards. I even had some like, they each had like an hour of like iPad time where they did like iPad games. One was taking piano lessons on an iPad, so like got to do that. So like all of these lists of things listed together were several hours of like the kids being busy doing stuff, and they didn't need like I had to like prep the work of like getting the books, setting out the supplies or whatever. But after like I had a bin of supplies, like this is our stuff. Like they each had a timer and they knew how to set their timer for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, however long it was, and they would just go do that activity. And so I think some people think that it's hard to get their kids to do that, but actually kids are like driven by routine. And especially if you start the younger that your kids are, kids love jobs. They love to like have like a list and like, these are my things that I have to do. Nobody else has to do these. These are my things that I get to do. Um, and then by that time, it's like early afternoon or whatever. And then, of course, it was always an hour to 2 hours playing outside, always. And then I would list some activities of like, you don't know what to do. Here are some options of what you can do to get started. You can ride your bike. You can color with chalk on the sidewalk. You can go on the swing set. You can, because sometimes younger kids, they need an idea to get started. And then after they've been playing for 15 minutes, they'll just go play outside all day long. And we had a pool. So, like, in the afternoon, it was like, hey, you have to do all of your. Because I knew if I sent my kids outside of the pool right away in the morning, they'd be done with it in, an hour or whatever. And then they probably wouldn't go back in it the rest of the day. So, like, in the morning to early afternoon, we always did like specific tasks, specific checklist things. That way, in the afternoon to in the evening, then it was just like free play. That is when you can do what you want because you've done, all of those other things. Sometimes the morning chore in the morning was even like helping mom pick things in the garden. If we want to get outside in the morning or go on a family walk or something like that. And you could put as little or as most as you wanted. I learned that like in order for me to stay, I don't know, sane, stable, I I need a couple hours to be like, I need to get the laundry done. I have these tasks I need to do. I was doing photo stuff. Like I need to sit on my computer and I need to like focus on this task for an hour or two. What are my kids doing in that time where they don't need me? And if they do need me, it's just like a quick little answer a question and then they're back to doing their own thing. Because I was like, I cannot play referee all day long for 12 hours while my kids are kind of wondering what to do. They just sometimes need ideas. So then, as our kids, that was like when they were really little, I pretty much packed their whole day full of stuff so that there was no room for problems or issues or fights or anything like that. Then, once my kids got older into like later elementary, now into high school, the list looks a lot different. Now, um, the kind of rule in my house is once you get to seventh grade, you don't need a list anymore. Like you should know, like you should be able to look at the calendar and look at like the things that they have to do are a lot less because like you have to help mow. The chores that they have now is somebody every week has to do the cat litter box and the cat cleanup area. Someone every week has to do the dog area. So they figure that out on who's doing what. They usually stick with the same one every single week just because they get good at it. We have someone that drives out to feed the horse every day. And then if I need help with other tasks, they just know that sometimes I just put a list up on, like earlier this summer when we had a lot of things that just needed to be done, I would put a list up on the refrigerator, like an actual handwritten list for the week of being like, okay, this is based off of the schedule that we have. These are the things that we have to get done. Like if we knew that a bunch of people were coming over, it's like, hey, like this week you guys need to on Wednesday, you guys need to each clean your own bathrooms and make sure there's fresh towels out and that everything is clean and ready for guests. Or like, hey, this week you guys need to wash your bedding because by the time they get into seventh grade, my kids, they do their own laundry completely. They know that they have to help with like meal chores, cleaning up after a meal. They know that if they cook, they're in charge of their own dishes. They know that every day that they should get outside at some point to do some sort of activity. Um, and it's actually been hard because now I'm like starting over. I have a kindergartner now, and I have such a hard time because we are running so much for our older kids. I'm like, I can't even picture in my brain that I used to sit down and the kids had hours of stuff to do. They like wrote and they did journals and they did Play-Doh and they did all of these things. Right now, Beckon is doing this like little 15 minutes a day online school. Like, I'm lucky if we get that done 2 or 3 times a week. Like, it's just like not happening. So, like, the expectations of what I had when I just had little kids in my house to the expectations I have where now I have a little kid in my house and I've got big kids in my house, it's not the same. And it might not seem fair, um, just because he's just not required to do a lot of stuff because we're number one, we're hardly ever here. And when we are here, we're busy prepping for whatever is next in the summer. And, you know, like I have a kid who has a job who like actually goes to work and um, they go to camps and they were just, you know, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's already July almost. And I'm just like, where, like, you know, I should be doing more. I really should be doing more like kindergarten prep with him. But it's like every night we're not home till 8, 9 o'clock at night. Like I'm lucky if we even have time to read one book in a day. Um, so I do challenge myself that for the rest of the summer I do need to be more um what's the word I'm looking for? I need to be more aware and more p- intentional. That's the word I'm looking for. Intentional. I need to be more intentional about utilizing our time in the morning. Getting him set up with some things, doing a little bit of something for him with him because just specifically I just feel like I don't know, maybe it's just my family. The youngest kid kind of just gets put to the back burner and it's like, "Oh gosh, where did all the time go?" Cuz we never have any time for anything in the afternoons and the evenings. So I need to get better at like reminding myself like in the morning and he's just more apt to stay busy. Like this morning he was outside by like 8:30 fixing his little trike. He goes and takes his trike into the tool shed and fiddles around with tools for hours. And maybe that's just the difference between boys and girls. Like I just felt like when I had little girls in my house, I just felt like I needed to find things for them to do because either like they just and maybe it was because they're so close in age, but they just argued more and they just like seemed like they were bored more and they just sat around more. um, I've hardly seen my son all morning and it's almost lunchtime. I'm like, I don't even know. He was playing in the mud kitchen and he was spraying water somewhere and he was fixing his trike and he was checking on the cats and he's just busier. So it just doesn't, I just forget like, oh, I should have him sit down and, you know, keep working on his name and keep working on some of those other checklist things because like he does already help. Like, kindergarten, he helps with his own laundry. He knows how to start the washing machine. He knows how to look at his clothes, put his clothes the right way, put them in the washer. He knows how to put soap in the washer. So like even early on, like your kids are so capable of doing a lot of different things that are important and like good life skills. And I like knowing that my kids go over to other people's houses knowing like how to clean up after themselves, how to pitch in with that family household job, how to do a chore, like if they are required to go somewhere and like clean a bathroom, they know exactly what that means. They know exactly what products to use for cleaning a toilet or cleaning the sink or cleaning a mirror or like wiping down kitchen counters or vacuuming or sweeping. Like they know exactly how to do those things and they can go be helpful like when they're out in the world with other people. And I think that's important too. But it really gives you like a little time, like if you're working and you need time in the evening, um, if anybody wants like a specific list, they can reach out to me and I can actually give you the list that I used to use for my kids. I don't have the one that I originally used to use, but I have one that I used when they were like both in upper elementary school. I do have that list saved. I couldn't find the one that I used like way early on when my kids were little. That was like an actual checklist like um in the morning, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, fill in the box that yes, you made your bed, yes, you brushed your teeth, yes, you did this, yes, you did an hour of outside time. Yes, you did a craft. Yes, you did whatever. And then it was the same thing for the evenings. In the evenings after supper, it was like, they might need help bathing and showering, but like you can brush your hair, you can pick out your clothes for the next day and set them, you can tidy your room after playing in it, you can pick out your pajamas, you can, they don't need help with a lot of that other stuff if they're taught how to do it and taught how to take care of it. And it's just, I'm like, it's nice. I mean, a lot of people don't want their kids to grow up, but it's really nice having some kids that have like lots of independence and are able to do those things. So that's kind of what we do and how we handle it. And it's not perfect, and I need to get better at it, especially in some areas because of the ages of my kids. But if you have any other ideas of things that you have, specific chores or things that you have your kids do, like on a day at home to keep them busy, things that they like to do, I would love if you would comment, add to people's lists, give parents ideas who have never started something like this before on like where to start and how to do some things.
Hi.
You know what I think we should do?
Yeah.
I think we should go do some of your schoolwork.
No, I don't like my
You
schoolwork.
don't like your schoolwork?
It's really not bad.
It's really not bad.
No, I mean it's really bad.
Oh, it's good for you though.
I know.
I know.
It's really fun.
It is fun. You do like it. You're just being a goof.
Yeah. I'm really kidding.
Yeah. All right. Well, see you next time.
Hey, I want to still talk. Oh, bye.